Have you ever noticed how small talk can feel exhausting almost immediately, not because you dislike people but because the conversation feels empty? You're standing there, nodding, smiling, answering the same predictable questions, while a part of your mind quietly disconnects. It's not awkwardness and it's not rudeness either. It's that familiar feeling of wanting the conversation to move somewhere deeper or simply end. You might feel drained even though nothing really happened, and you may wonder why others seem perfectly comfortable talking about the weather, work, or weekend plans, while you feel mentally tired after just a few minutes. So the question isn't why you're bad at small talk. The real question is why small talk feels so uncomfortable to some people in the first place. If small talk has ever made you feel uncomfortable or mentally tired, there is nothing wrong with you. This reaction is far more common than most people admit. Many assume that disliking small talk means being antisocial, shy, or rude, but that simply isn't true. For many minds, this discomfort comes from a mismatch between how connection is processed internally and what small talk actually offers. Some people feel most engaged when conversations have meaning, depth, or direction, and when that doesn't happen, their mental energy slowly drops. This doesn't mean you dislike people. It means your mind works differently. And if this experience feels familiar, you're not alone here. This channel exists to explain patterns like this calmly and without judgment. If you want to keep exploring the psychology behind everyday social experiences, you're welcome to subscribe and stay. If this topic resonates with you, liking the video helps more people find explanations instead of labels. And if you feel comfortable sharing how small talk feels for you, reading different perspectives reminds us how human this experience really is. From a psychological perspective, small talk feels uncomfortable to some people because not all minds seek the same type of stimulation or connection. Some people's brains are naturally oriented toward depth, meaning, and internal processing. When a conversation stays on the surface, it doesn't activate curiosity, emotional engagement, or cognitive interest in the same way. Instead of feeling connected, the mind begins to disengage. This is not about intelligence or social skill, but about how attention and energy are regulated internally. For depth-oriented minds, meaningful conversation creates energy, while repetitive or predictable interaction slowly drains it. The brain isn't rejecting people, it's reacting to a lack of mental and emotional signal. Over time, this creates the sensation that small talk is tiring, uncomfortable, or even pointless, even though its social function is still understood. Small talk often becomes uncomfortable in moments where interaction is expected but depth is not allowed. Think about elevators, office kitchens, work events, family gatherings, or casual social encounters where the same questions repeat themselves automatically. Someone asks what you do, how work has been, or whether the weather is nice, and while you answer politely, your mind feels like it has stepped back slightly. You're present but not fully engaged. There's nothing offensive or wrong happening, yet internally there's a sense of waiting rather than participating. You might notice yourself nodding at the right moments, smiling on cue, or offering short responses while quietly scanning for an exit, counting seconds, or hoping the conversation ends naturally. This internal detachment can feel confusing because outwardly everything looks normal. You're behaving socially, yet mentally you feel distant. The contrast becomes even clearer when the conversation unexpectedly shifts. If someone suddenly shares a personal thought, asks a meaningful question, or introduces an idea that invites reflection, your attention often returns immediately. Your posture changes, your mind becomes alert, and the fatigue disappears. This shift reveals something important. The discomfort wasn't caused by social interaction itself, but by the lack of mental and emotional stimulation. Many people misunderstand this and assume that disliking small talk means disliking people, when in reality it means disliking conversations that feel repetitive, performative, or empty. This pattern can also appear in digital interactions, such as messaging conversations that never move beyond surface updates, or social media exchanges that feel loud but emotionally flat. Over time, repeatedly engaging in these shallow interactions can create a sense of social exhaustion that isn't linked to quantity of interaction, but to quality. For depth-oriented minds, it's not the presence of people that drains energy, but the absence of meaning. When this difference isn't understood, people may push themselves harder, forcing participation in conversations that feel unnatural, which only increases the sense of discomfort. Recognizing these everyday patterns helps clarify that the issue is not social inability, but a mismatch between conversational depth and cognitive preference. When small talk is reframed through a psychological lens, its discomfort stops feeling like a flaw and starts feeling like information. Disliking small talk doesn't indicate social failure, emotional coldness, or lack of empathy. Instead, it points to a mind that values coherence, meaning, and internal alignment. Some minds connect through ideas, shared reflections, and emotional honesty rather than through ritualized conversation. Small talk serves an important social function for many people. It signals safety, familiarity, and group belonging. But it is not the only valid way to connect, nor is it equally nourishing for everyone. For depth-oriented individuals, surface interaction can feel like standing in place while the mind naturally wants to move forward. Understanding this difference changes how the experience is interpreted. Instead of internalizing discomfort as personal inadequacy, it becomes easier to see it as a preference shaped by cognition, temperament, and attention style. This reframing also reduces the pressure to perform socially. When you recognize that your discomfort has a reason, you no longer need to force enthusiasm or blame yourself for feeling drained. You can approach social situations with more self-awareness, choosing when to engage lightly and when to seek deeper connection without guilt. This shift doesn't reject small talk or people who enjoy it. It simply acknowledges that human minds are diverse. Some thrive on frequent, light interaction, while others feel most alive in moments of depth and meaning. Neither is superior. They are different forms of social nourishment. When this perspective settles in, it often brings relief. The internal tension softens. The need to constantly adapt disappears. Instead of asking what is wrong with you, the question becomes what kind of interaction helps you feel present and connected. That understanding creates space for self-acceptance and more authentic relationships, where connection is built in ways that align with how your mind naturally works. Understanding why small talk feels uncomfortable can quietly change the way you see yourself in social situations. Instead of assuming something is missing or broken, you begin to recognize a pattern that has always been there. Your mind isn't rejecting connection, it's seeking a different kind of it. When you understand this, the discomfort loses its weight. You stop forcing yourself to fit into conversations that don't resonate and start accepting how your mind naturally engages with others. Quiet psychology exists to offer this kind of clarity, without pressure or judgment. If this perspective helped you understand yourself a little better, you're welcome to stay, subscribe, and continue exploring these patterns with us. And if you'd like, share your experience in the comments. How does small talk feel to you, and what kind of conversations truly hold your attention?